team? Okay, let's go inside. Okay. Time to work. How am I supposed to work with you guys? So I'll talk a little bit. I know most of this video has just been me going from place to place, working a little bit here and there, but I'll actually just sit down and explain a couple of things to the folks interested in watching about what a manager does in FinTech. So I will kind of lay it out in a couple of ways. So first is within FinTech, no matter the company, you'll really have your product management team, right? This is the team that creates the product. They work with the development team to define the features. If you're into the agile methodologies, this will be a user story, right? And you're working on refining that, grooming those requirements that become a usable feature for clients down the road. So you have the product team, right? You have the development team. They actually do the work, the coding to make what product envisions come true. You have the implementation client solutions type team, which is what I'm in. So I have a very client-facing background. I've worked with clients for a number of years now. I'm in my role as a manager. I am essentially managing the projects across the board. So that entails managing my team members, managing the work that we do. So that is customizing these solutions for our clients, which are large financial institutions, large banks, alternative investment managers, so private equity, hedge funds, sometimes venture capital fund that wants to use some of these products to essentially enable them to fundraise or things to do with helping them streamline their investment processes. That's kind of what I'm specialized in right now. I can talk about that too if you'd like. Let me know in the comments down below. So you have product dev, you have kind of the client success, implementation, solutions type team, right? You're taking the product that is live and ready for folks to use, and you have a list of clients that want to use it, and you're essentially customizing it for them, getting them on board to the product, the application, the platform, whatever it is. And from start point A to B with them going live with it, using it, you're there for the entire support and life cycle of them as a client, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'm managing a team of business analysts who essentially do a lot of the customization work. So I'm spending a lot of time talking to people. I spend time talking to clients, hearing their concerns. I spend time on product calls, development calls. I'm really like one of the people who have the main points of contact with so many different teams internally and clients in general. So I'm a good person that gets in a lot of these calls with members of all those teams and shares feedback, shares how projects are going, shares roadblocks, like major blockers and maybe bugs with the products in general, and trying to resolve that and communicate internally, like, hey, we have this issue with the product. The client really needs this to be working for them. So we'll have a back and forth, see if the dev team can make it happen, push out a little bit, push out a fix, whether it's in the next release, a hot fix, right? And then I also help with sales. So like any business, you have to sell your product. I will help a lot of the sales directors, technical sales folks with demos, because I can talk about a lot of the intricacies of the product itself. So I'm in sales calls sometimes as well. So I think that's a good place to stop. I have to hop on another call, but I will circle back later and just keep going from there. All right, so I'm actually just gonna hop into the next segment of the video, which is being a manager or even transitioning to being a manager, right? For me personally, I recently moved up into my role as a manager, kind of within the implementation client solutions part of the business, and I've had to take a step up in leading a team. And it's really exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, because you're now being tasked with setting strategic goals, communicating across the company and representing your team and folks on your team, and being kind of the face of the product or solution that you're specialized in working on, and even providing professional development for folks on your team, right? It's kind of all encompassing. And it really, you have to think about what kind of manager do you want to be. I remember I had discussions with my director about what kind of leader and manager do I want to be. They're completely separate questions. You can tackle them both, but just begin to think about, if management's the route you want to go down, what skills and traits and qualities do you want to exhume? Because going forward, you will be an individual that people look up to on your team, right? Analysts, just associates that work with you, whether in the company or on your team, they're going to look to you for advice and for questions. And you're moving from an analyst role to a management role. You're going to have to begin to think in solution, how you can work through problems, whereas before you might have just asked your manager what you do in a scenario, right? So it's kind of the first thing is just a shift in mindset, right? Thinking more of a solution-oriented mindset, but also asking a lot of questions back. I think asking good questions when you're trying to figure out a solution is part of the key to providing good decision making. That's number one. When being a manager, you're going to have to make decisions. So get good at asking very clear questions and understand who at your company, whether it's product folks, development teams, sales folks, relationship managers, whoever it might be, who can you go to pull the right answers and get the right information across to members of your team, or even back to the client, so you can progress work further, right? Number 2 is professional development. I think this is really important in a position where you're representing a lot of people on your team, whether you're directly managing one person or 10 or 20. You want to have a good relationship with folks in your team, get to know them personally. Whereas before, if you were just an analyst and working on a team with other analysts, you're kind of all on the same level, so you can kind of goof around, get to know them. But as a manager, you want to get to a sense of what are people's goals, right? Beginning to have more serious conversations and set up one-on-one monthly check-in meetings is something I'm a proponent of getting a sense of where they want to go, right? And really having the mindset as a manager of, if someone wants to move off of your team or whatever, that's fine. You need to be a person who's can continually propel people forward and be that positive influence and get them any introductions or any providing advice, whether maybe they want to take a course or maybe they want to pivot to being a product manager, right? Or a software engineer. Like, who are the folks that you can introduce to them or advice you can give to get them to where they want to be? That's really what I think part of the professional development aspect is about. And then gathering feedback, is a part of that. Just in your one-on-one meetings with people on your team, asking questions about feedback around the team, like what do they enjoy in the work that they're doing, what gaps do they see, and understanding processes that you can improve upon as a manager to make people on your team's lives easier, right? Just it's about process improvement and understanding where the blockers are. Next point I have is about setting strategic goals for your team, short and long-term goals, right? When you step into the role, have an idea of the current state of the team and the work that's involved. And for me, it's understanding the product and how we're implementing for clients. So that's just understanding at a high level all the components along that and where are the blockers, right? So taking a look, and I mentioned this before, about operational improvement with the team, whether that involves further training with team members or just getting feedback from folks on the team on how you can just continually improve upon your operational process of just getting work done more effectively. Sometimes it's about just working smarter, not harder. So part of what I do is making sure people on my team have the tools they need to succeed, right? But you want to, over time, make sure everybody on your team, whether they're entry level analysts to one of the senior analysts and associates, the tools in their toolkit so they can succeed in client conversations to help them move up the company, right? You want to be that person who always has their back, because ultimately at the end of the day, you want to grow the team. You want to continue to deliver for clients and bring value and ultimately do good by the company, right? And so that starts with taking a look at folks in your team and making sure that you provide resources for them, you give them the attention they need to develop. It's important because they will get a lot out of it, and you will, and the team ultimately will as well. So for example, if I want to client down the road and they're going to heavily use APIs, and there's someone on my team who's wanted to, take on more responsibility and work, but hasn't necessarily done work with APIs yet, knowing that we have this client coming up next quarter, I would then introduce them to folks on our API team, get them some resources and artifacts that they can look at to become familiar with the APIs and how it integrates with our products, right? And get them that knowledge so that when the implementation and work for the client is there and we're in that quarter getting ready to work and deliver, they're adequately have the tools ready to go. So it's all about really listening to folks in your team, getting a sense of where the work is, and just ensuring that even the newest people on the team have some kind of professional development roadmap, right, for them. If your team historically hasn't had that, as a manager, that's something you can work on, right? All right, and the last topic I'll talk about here is a big one. It's about relationships and politics as a manager, and moving up from an analyst to management position, you'll begin to see this even more so because you're in these high level conversations with leadership, other management and directors across the company, and you're going to have to talk with these people who have influence, they have authority, they have delegation power, just like you, right? Everybody has a team that they're managing. You all have different priorities and requirements for your work. And sometimes you have to work together to get things done, right? Sometimes I will need people on the product management team's help, or even development team's help to get back to a client with a question, right? So the faster you can establish relationships with leaders across the company, other managers, other team members, just not on your team, the better off you'll be, right? And it's not about just doing it for the sake of doing it, but you want to, if you want to be at a place and grow at a company for a while, you want to establish relationships with people. You want to become friendly and create relationships where you can easily reach out to somebody if you need help, and vice versa, right? In a lot of work environments, you're in these cross-functional team environments where you're constantly talking with other folks across the company. They need something from you, you need something from them. There's complex social structures in place, even ones that you might not be aware of if you're joining a new company. So the point is, the earlier you establish these relationships, the better off you'll be. All right. So that's about it for this point of the video. Gonna hop into some cool footage of the rest of the day, and I will see you guys towards the end. That is the finished product. Yummy. Okay, always like to keep the sink clean during the day, or else it just kind of piles up and then you have a lot to do in the afternoon. All right, so back to it. I will bring my lunch upstairs with me and then get back to work. All right, about to hop into some calls. It's 2 p.m., hopping into calls, and I'll be in them until the end of the day, 5 p.m. for me. These are mostly around the products that I'm on, just making sure projects are going smoothly, talking about upcoming client calls, things of that nature. But yeah, so hopping into that right now. Don't know if we got to the point of signing a contract with them. It was all kind of like proof of concept. There was a lot of conversation for a number of years of just finished up with a meeting. Most of my meetings are like that, just kind of some give and take. Either somebody's leading it or I'm leading it, and we're just talking about client work, how projects are going, what are blockers, making sure we have enough folks on the team working on something, making sure we have technical folks queued up to help out. And yeah, I can talk a bit more about sort of the project work, the FinTech manager project work from my perspective as it's changed over time for my team, and just generally speaking, like what I've seen. I can talk through that if that's something folks would be interested in. Workout complete. All right, time for dinner.